I don't remember the sound of the crash. People always ask about it. The screech of tires, the shattering glass, the moment when metal meets metal. They expect a dramatic answer, something loud and cinematic. But the truth is, there was silence. Not peaceful silence, not calm. It was the kind of silence that feels wrong, like the world forgot how to breathe. One moment I was driving home from work, stuck in my usual thoughts, unpaid bills, unanswered messages, the quiet loneliness that had followed me for years. The next moment, everything blurred into white. And then, nothing. When I opened my eyes, I expected pain. Isn't that what happens after accidents? Broken bones, burning nerves, the sharp reminder that you're still alive. But there was no pain, no weight, no sense of time. I was lying in a hospital bed, staring at a ceiling that looked too clean, too perfect. The fluorescent lights hummed softly, but even that sound felt distant, like it was happening behind thick glass. A nurse noticed I was awake. She smiled, but her smile lingered half a second too long. "Welcome back," she said. Her voice echoed strangely in my head, as if the words arrived late. "Back from where?" I asked. She paused, just for a fraction of a second, but I saw it. Her eyes flickered, like someone searching for the correct response in a script. "You were in an accident. You're very lucky." Lucky. That word followed me for weeks. At first, everything seemed normal. Doctors ran tests, friends visited. My sister cried when she saw me, holding my hand as if afraid I would disappear again. But little things didn't add up. The clock on the wall ticked unevenly, sometimes skipping entire seconds, sometimes freezing completely before jumping forward. The window showed a city I recognized, but something about it felt off. The buildings were in the right places, yet their colors seemed slightly muted, like someone had drained the saturation from reality. And then there were the people. They spoke the same language, wore familiar clothes, laughed at the right moments. But their eyes were empty in a way I couldn't explain. Not lifeless, just absent, as if something essential was missing. When I mentioned it to the doctor, he smiled gently. "Post-traumatic stress," he said. "Your brain is adjusting." I wanted to believe him. I really did. They discharged me after 2 weeks. No major injuries, no neurological damage. A miracle, they said. I stepped outside the hospital expecting relief. Instead, dread settled in my stomach. The air felt heavier, like I was breathing through water. Sounds were slightly delayed, footsteps echoing after the movement, car horns arriving a second too late. My apartment building stood where it always had, same number, same cracked sidewalk. But when I unlocked the door, I knew immediately this wasn't my home. Everything was almost right. My couch, my bookshelf, my old coffee mug with the chipped handle. Almost. The photos on the wall showed moments I didn't remember, vacations I had never been on, smiles that seemed foreign and unfamiliar, even though they were my own. One photo stopped me cold. It showed me standing beside someone whose face was blurred. Not scratched out, not damaged. Blurred like reality itself refused to finish rendering them. I took the frame off the wall, my hands shaking. On the back, written in my handwriting, were 3 words. You survived this time. Sleep became impossible. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt the same sensation, falling without moving, sinking through layers of something unseen. On the 3rd night, I heard it. A voice, not loud, not threatening, just familiar. You're not supposed to be here yet. I sat up in bed, heart pounding. Who's there? I whispered. The room remained empty, but the voice continued, echoing from everywhere and nowhere at once. You noticed it too fast. That's new. My mouth went dry. What is this place? I asked. A pause. Then, a version. Before I could ask anything else, the voice faded, leaving behind a pressure in my chest that felt like grief for something I couldn't name. The next day, I went back to the intersection where the accident happened, or at least where I thought it happened. According to the police report, there had been no other vehicle involved. I had simply lost control and crashed into a barrier. But I remembered headlights. I remembered someone else. Standing near the crosswalk was a man in a dark coat. He was watching the traffic, not the cars, but the people. When his eyes met mine, my breath caught. I knew him. I didn't know how or from where, but every instinct in my body screamed recognition. You shouldn't be walking around alone, he said calmly. Do I know you? I asked. He smiled, sadly. In most versions, yes. Before I could respond, a bus passed between us, and when it was gone, so was he. After that, the cracks became impossible to ignore. Street signs changed when I looked away. Conversations repeated themselves with the same words, the same gestures. People I passed on the street sometimes froze completely, mid-step, mid-blink, before snapping back into motion as if nothing had happened. And every mirror showed something different. Sometimes I looked tired, sometimes younger. Once, briefly, I saw a version of myself with blood running down my face, eyes wide with terror. That night, I found another note on my desk. I don't remember writing it. The accident wasn't the beginning. It was the correction. The voice returned, stronger this time. You died, it said plainly. I laughed hysterically, my sanity hanging by a thread. No, I said, I'm right here. Yes, the voice replied. That's the problem. Images flooded my mind, flashes of different lives, different choices, different endings, accidents, illnesses, violence, loneliness. In all of them, I died, except this one. You keep slipping through, the voice continued, and every time you do, the world becomes less stable. My knees buckled. Who are you? I whispered. A long silence. Then, I'm the one trying to put things back the way they're supposed to be. The final words I heard before everything went black was, "And this time, I don't think we can save you again." I woke up on the floor. Not in my bed, not on the couch, on the cold tiles of my kitchen, as if I had collapsed mid-step. The lights were on, all of them, every lamp, every bulb. The apartment glowed like an interrogation room. For a moment, I couldn't remember how long I'd been there. Then I noticed something that made my stomach twist. The hum. A low mechanical vibration ran through the walls, the floor, even my bones. It wasn't loud, but it was everywhere, like the city itself was powered by some massive, unseen machine.
I stood up slowly and walked to the window. Outside, the street was frozen. Cars were stopped mid-motion. A woman stood halfway across the road, her foot suspended inches above the asphalt. A bird hung in the air, wings stretched, unmoving. Time wasn't stopped, it was paused. And then the city blinked. Everything jumped forward at once. Cars lurched, the woman stumbled, the bird crashed awkwardly onto a balcony. No one reacted, except me.
My phone buzzed. No notification sound, just a vibration, sudden and violent in my hand. A text message from my own number. Me. How long have you been there? My breath caught. I typed back with shaking fingers. Me. Who is this? The response came instantly. Me. That doesn't matter anymore. You're noticing faster than the others. I felt dizzy. Me. Others like who? 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Me. Other yous. The room tilted. A new message arrived. An image. It was me, lying in a hospital bed, flatline on the monitor. Timestamp, 3 days ago. I couldn't stay in the apartment. The walls felt closer now, breathing in and out like something alive. I needed space, air, proof that the world was still real. I went into the hallway. But my hallway had never been this long. The door behind me vanished silently, replaced by an endless corridor of identical doors stretching in both directions. The light flickered overhead, each flicker slightly out of sync with the last. I walked. My footsteps echoed wrong, delayed, layered, as if multiple versions of me were walking alongside one another. One of the doors was slightly open. From inside, I heard crying. I pushed it open. Inside was my living room, but it was destroyed. Furniture overturned, walls cracked, blood smeared across the floor in thick, dark arcs. And in the center of the room, me, older, thinner, eyes hollowed by something worse than exhaustion. He looked up at me. "Don't make the same choices," he whispered. Then the room collapsed inward like paper being crushed, and I was back in the hallway, alone. The corridor ended abruptly at a subway platform. No signs, no trains listed. Just one bench, and the man in the dark coat, sitting calmly as if he'd been waiting. "You're deteriorating faster this time," he said, without looking at me. "What are you?" I demanded. "An angel? Death? My brain breaking down?" He sighed. "I'm maintenance. I stared at him. "For what?" "For reality," he replied. He finally met my eyes, and for the first time, I saw something human in his expression. Regret. Every time you survive, the system compensates. It creates another version, another path, another patch. "And the others?" I asked quietly. He hesitated. "They fail." He touched the wall behind him. The concrete rippled like water. Suddenly, I was seeing them. Hundreds of moments layered over one another, different deaths, different endings. Me bleeding out on the asphalt, me alone in a dark apartment, heart stopped, me old and forgotten in a hospital bed, me smiling seconds before impact. Each version felt real. Each version felt like me. "You weren't meant to cross this many times," the man said. "Most people accept one ending." "Why don't I?" I asked. His voice dropped to almost a whisper. "Because you're afraid of being nothing." When I returned to the street, I noticed something new. Some people no longer had faces. Not blank faces, missing ones, smooth, unfinished shapes where eyes and mouths should be. They moved normally, spoke normally, but no one reacted to them. When one of them brushed past me, I felt a sudden cold, not on my skin, but inside my chest, like something had been taken. I turned to the man in the coat. "They're incomplete," I said. "They're background processes," he replied. "Filler. The more unstable your version becomes, the more of them appear." "So what happens when there are more of them than real people?" He didn't answer. He didn't need to. That night, the voice returned, louder, angrier. "You can't keep doing this," it said. "You're tearing holes we can't seal." "I didn't ask for this," I shouted into the darkness. "You asked every time you chose to survive," the voice replied. The room dissolved. I was standing at the intersection again, the moment before the crash. I could feel the steering wheel under my hands, the red light ahead, the headlights rushing toward me. Time slowed, and for the first time, I understood. This wasn't a memory. It was a loop. "You can end it," the voice said softly, "or you can keep going and watch everything decay." I looked at the oncoming lights, and somewhere deep inside, I felt it again, that unbearable fear, not of dying, but of being erased. The last thing I heard before the impact was the man's voice, distant and tired. "There won't be a part 3 if you choose wrong." I stopped trying to prove that the world was wrong. That was the first sign that something inside me had finally broken, or finally healed. I wasn't sure which. The glitches didn't stop. People still paused mid-sentence like frozen frames. Streetlights still flickered only when I walked beneath them. Mirrors still lagged behind my movements by half a second, like reality needed time to decide whether I was allowed to exist. But I stopped reacting, and the world noticed. It started subtly. Doors that used to open without resistance suddenly felt heavy, like they were pushing back. Elevators refused to recognize my floor. Automatic lights no longer turned on when I entered a room. One night, my phone displayed a notification I never installed. System update required. Status: unresolved existence. I didn't delete it. I didn't panic. I just stared at the screen until it went black. The dreams returned, but they were no longer chaotic. They were structured. I kept seeing the same place, a vast open stretch of land under a colorless sky. No sun, no clouds, just light without a source. No sound, no wind, no time. At first, I thought it was death. Then I realized something worse. It was waiting. The third night, I didn't wake up from the dream. I stepped into it. Not physically. My body was still in bed, breathing, but I arrived somewhere else, fully aware, fully conscious. The ground beneath my feet was smooth, like polished stone, but warm. Ahead of me stood a structure that looked like a building only in the loosest sense, edges shifting, walls breathing, corridors rearranging themselves when I wasn't looking directly at them. And I knew I had been here before. Inside, there were others. Not people, not entirely. They looked human at first glance, but their outlines were unstable. Their faces blurred if I tried to focus on them too long, like corrupted files. They stood silently, scattered through the halls, staring at nothing. One of them turned toward me. "I remember you," it said. Its voice wasn't sound, it was recognition. "You chose to wake up early last time." "What is this place?" I asked. It tilted its head, processing. "The space between outcomes," it replied, "where unresolved events are stored until a decision is made." My chest tightened. "I survived the accident," I said. "That was the decision." The thing smiled, gently, almost sadly. "No," it said, "that was the error." They showed me the moment of the crash, not as memory, as data. Time slowed until it fractured into layers. I saw every possible outcome unfolding simultaneously. One where I died instantly, one where I survived but never woke up, one where I lived but only partially, one where I walked away untouched, and one, only one, where I continued exactly like this, aware, questioning, unaligned. "You don't belong to a stable outcome," the entity explained. "You became conscious during transition." I remembered it then, the moment after the impact, the silence, the strange calm, the thought I had before everything went dark. This isn't finished yet. They gave me 2 options. They always do, apparently. Collapse. Let the unstable version of me dissolve. the world would correct itself. No memory, no awareness, no pain. Or acceptance. Acknowledge what I am. Step fully into the in-between. Exist without anchors, without form, without time. Will I still be me? I asked. The entity hesitated. It will remember being you, it said. That was not the same thing. Back in the physical world, things escalated quickly. People started forgetting me mid-conversation. My name vanished from documents. Photos with me in them blurred, then updated, as if I'd never been there. But the strangest part? The world began to plead. I'd hear whispers in static, reflections mouthing words before I spoke them, dreams where the city itself asked me to stay. Because as long as I existed incorrectly, reality could pretend it was flexible. As long as I stayed, the cracks were manageable. I tried. I really did. I stood on the same stretch of road where the accident happened, at the same hour, under the same dim streetlight. I waited. I told myself I would let go. But when the moment came, when the world softened around me, when my outline began to blur, I felt fear. Not of dying, of disappearing unnoticed. And the collapse failed. So I went back to the place without time. This time I didn't ask questions. I stepped forward. The structure unfolded around me, opening like a lung taking its final breath. As I crossed the threshold, I felt everything loosen. My name, my memories, my sense of before and after. But one thing remained. Choice. I don't exist the way I used to. I don't walk streets or sleep in rooms. I observe. I drift between moments, not haunting them, not changing them, just passing through. Sometimes, when you survive something you shouldn't have, and the world feels subtly wrong afterward, that's me. A reminder, a leftover, a warning that not every ending is clean. And if you ever feel like reality is slightly out of sync, like you're seeing a version of the world that isn't fully rendered, don't panic. It just means you're close to the edge, and someone like me is passing by.